This video is going to go over how to import a territory hierarchy file made up of territories, regions, and divisions. So in MapBusinessOnline, you always have the ability to create territories by zip codes, counties, and states, but you also have the ability to combine territories together into regions and regions into divisions. You could always do that manually in the program, but this video is specifically going over how to import a territory file. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull up my Excel spreadsheet here to show you what I'm going to be importing. So here I have a list of zip codes, and those make up these territories. And so I have a territory name next to each of those zip codes that they cover. In this file, I also have region, and so I have the region next to the territory, and then I also have a division column that encompasses regions. So regions are grouped together to make divisions. In my data, I also have primary state and place name. That's not really needed for this territory import. So I'll go ahead and minimize that for now, and we'll go over importing a territory. So what we want to do is click on this Create Territories button, and now we want to click on Import Multi-Level Territory Hierarchy. We're going to click Next, and we're going to browse to wherever that file is. And so I'm going to pull in my regions, territories, and divisions file. Click Next. And the wizard kind of just walks you through. So if your spreadsheet only has territories and regions, those are the only boxes you're going to have. Mine contains all three, so I'm going to import divisions as well and click Next. This page is where the program just makes sure that the zip code column is identified correctly. If you have the header of zip code, then the program's happy and it's able to identify that. If it didn't have a zip5 code header, then you would just tell it which column contains that zip code data. I recommend checking the box that says ignore point-only zip codes, just because point zip codes are buildings within the boundary zip codes, and sometimes buildings can be assigned to one territory where the boundary zip code that encompasses it is assigned to another territory, so that can cause some conflict there. So I think it's a good idea to ignore point-only zip codes just because a lot of times they cause more harm than good. But if you believe in your data, you don't think that any of the data is wrong, then you can uncheck that and bring in your points if you like. We'll go ahead and click Next. This next screen is where we just identify the territory column, the region column, and the division column. And if you have everything set up in Excel correctly ahead of time, then the fields are already going to be filled out. If the territory name column has something else, you just want to tell it which column of your spreadsheet contains that data. So we'll just click Create Territories, and that territory file is going to be imported. Our standard version can import 50 territories total, and anything more than that would be our pro version, and you can do up to 1,500 territories with that. The final screen just shows you how many territories you've imported at each level. If it looks good, you click Done, and you're presented with our data window. And this data window pops up anytime you import data. From the data window, you can look at your territories, and you can do things like change the color if you wanted to. You could do the same at the regions level. If you wanted to change some of the colors of those, you can do that here. And you could do the same thing with your divisions if you wanted to change it to a different color of your choosing. If we're all set, we can go ahead and close out of this, and we can take a step back and we can discuss our different data layers now. So in the map and data box, we now have territories, regions, and divisions. So let's say we don't want to look at our territories and we don't want to see those region lines. We can just look at our divisions. And if we don't want to look at our divisions, we could check the box for regions, and now we're stuck with our regions. And if we just want to, we could just look at our territories. So if we wanted to edit a territory, then we would just start here. I would recommend unchecking the other boxes so that you can edit that territory file. One thing I want to show you is how to make the map look a little cleaner. So what we have here are the little zip code lines all over the map, and sometimes it looks a little cluttered with all the lines. One tip to make it look a little cleaner before you save it as a PDF is to go into Manage Map and Data at something like the divisions level, and we have a checkbox that says Hide Internal Boundaries. Now this is just completely personal preference, but sometimes I like to do this just because it looks a little bit more seamless. If you're doing any editing, you might want to uncheck the Hide Internal Boundaries just so you can see those lines. But if you want to make it clean, just check that box for Hide Internal Boundaries. We can do the same for regions if we wanted to, and check that box. We could also do it for territories, but I'm going to just leave the lines in for territories, and we'll just take a look at what that looks like. So right now we're looking at our seamless divisions. And if I wanted to, I could uncheck that box. And now we're looking at our seamless regions, which looks a little bit nicer now. And if I uncheck that, then we're looking at our territories. So one thing I said about leaving that internal boundaries for the territories if you want to do any editing. So let's say that we missed a zip code, then I can check that box to enable my zip codes, and I can see that I have 3 that need some work. So I can just click on that zip code, click edit territory, and I can just choose to edit and add it to my West territory in this case, and I can just keep repeating this process. So once again, in order to do some editing, I would recommend turning off the divisions and regions layer, just leave that territories layer for any of the work that you need to do. If you have any questions, please reach out. We're available through phone, chat, and email, and have a great day.